Joe Biden was asked about Medicare for All in an interview with MSNBC. And even though we're in the middle of a pandemic that's ripping through the country and healthcare is one of the top issues the American people are concerned with, he still rejected it. Let's watch.
Hello, my name is Adrienne, and I'm a middle school counselor in Vancouver, Washington. So I work with a lot of families that really struggle. And I just am wondering, it seems appalling that someone who would lose their job in the middle of a pandemic would also lose their health care. And doesn't this seem to make Medicare for all or a single-payer health care seem more important to you?
Vice President Biden, what's your view of Medicare for all now? And I know you've had a chance to talk to Senator Sanders about it.
Well, I have. Number one, the quickest way to get that health care is to do two things. In the middle of this pandemic, to make sure that the federal government says no one will have to pay for any cost related to the COVID testing and or follow-up if anything is wrong and you have to be hospitalized. Secondly, there are 26 million people who, in fact, have lost their jobs, that their companies, they paid into a health insurance policy they liked. There's a thing called COBRA. That means that the portion that the company that can no longer pay in their share of that healthcare policy, that will be paid fully by the federal government while this pandemic lasts. Thirdly, the best way to move forward and get it done immediately is to withdraw the lawsuit that the president has to do away with Obamacare and add the public option I am supporting, that I have as part of my plan, making sure that everyone is going to be able to have access to health care at an affordable cost across the board. And those who can't afford it because they're unemployed or don't have a job, they would automatically be enrolled in the public option, which is a Medicare-like option. They would be automatically covered with no cost. It's the quickest, fastest way to get it done.
No, the quickest, fastest way to get it done is to totally eliminate the mafia middleman, the parasitic middleman, the unnecessary middleman, and have a single-payer system. That's the quickest way to get it done. But you don't want to do that. Why don't you want to do that? Well, you don't want to do that because you take money from the health insurance companies and you take money from Big Pharma and you're representing their interests and you want them to be unnecessary bloodsuckers screwing over the people. Now, let's go through some of what he says here. At the end, he talks about a public option. Well, I mean, it's Medicare for all. I mean, I'm in favor of like a public option. It's a Medicare-like option or something. Well, hold on now, Joe. Your own plan on your own website says the goal is 97% coverage. So you're still going to leave millions of people without coverage. Which is it? Are you in favor of a public option, which I guess nominally is supposed to cover everybody? Or are you in favor of covering 97% of the country like your own website says, which leaves millions of people uninsured? See, he'll go back and forth based on whatever's convenient and where the pressure's coming from. So, sometimes he's in favor of expanding Obamacare, and other times he's in favor of a public option. But both of those things will fall massively short in the middle of a damn pandemic, which gets us to his other idea, which is, let's fund COBRA to make sure that, people are covered. And then funny enough, he says something about funded by the federal government. So wait, hold on. I thought your concern with Medicare for All was like, oh, I don't want the federal government paying it. I don't want the tax money paying it. I thought that was your concern with Medicare for All, but now you're saying you're fine with funding COBRA and having the federal government foot the bill. So, but there's a difference. And now what's the difference? When it comes to COBRA, it's basically a giant subsidy, a giant giveaway to the health insurance industry. So really stop and think about that. Joe Biden is not okay with eliminating the unnecessary, rapacious, for-profit, parasitic mafia middleman. He's not okay with eliminating them. What he is okay with is taking more of your tax money, more of it, and handing it over as a subsidy to the health insurance companies under COBRA. So he's not in principle against tax money paying for healthcare. He just wants the men in the middle with suits and ties to get their cut because he's bought and owned by those men. That says everything right there. Listen, because all the time, what did he do during the campaign? He whined about the costs. Bernie, tell them how many trillions of dollars your Medicare for All bill will cost. And Bernie always responded in the correct way, which is to say, Medicare for All saves money. It saves $5 trillion over a 10-year period, according to every study. Because we're eliminating the mafia middleman. We're cutting the fat, and we're going directly to your doctor. So there's nobody in between you and your doctor under a Medicare for All system. We save money that way. But he would always, fearmonger about the cost. Well, now Biden is saying, I want a more expensive option than Medicare for All. Let's do these unnecessary giveaways to the health insurance companies under COBRA. It's unbelievable how corrupt he is and how terrible he is at hiding it. And if you do a logical breakdown of what he's saying, it'll drive you crazy. Then he says, I love this one. Well, under my proposal, you don't have to pay for COVID testing. What about treatment? What about treatment? You didn't say treatment. You didn't say, you don't have to pay for COVID treatment. You said you don't have to pay for COVID testing. So the test would be free, but then if you find out you have it and you're hospitalized, well, then you're on your own and you got to pay for it. I mean, look at what we're dealing with here, man. This is pathetic. This is what we ask of our leaders. At the same time, he's going around pretending like, I'm going to be the next FDR. FDR's rolling over in his grave here and that, son. Let me tell you. And then the final point is, look at how unprepared he is for the moment. Because we're the only developed country that doesn't have one version or another of a universal healthcare system. The connecting tissue between all the developed countries is that healthcare is publicly funded. You get sick, you get help, that's the end of it. No bill. You're good. It comes out of your tax dollars. He's so unprepared that even in a situation where 27 or 28 million people already don't have health insurance, and now over 30 million people lost their jobs, probably closer to 40 million now. All those people lost their jobs. There's a study that just came out that found that an extra 43 million people might lose their health insurance because their health insurance was connected to their employment. So do the math on that. 43 plus 28, that's about 71, something like that. Don't quote me on that. I suck at math. But that's roughly where we are. So we're looking at a situation where 71 million people are not going to have health coverage. And all he has to respond is a Band-Aid over a gaping, gangrenous wound. That's all he's got. By the way, I would not be surprised even a little bit if Trump attempts to pivot to Biden's left on healthcare. The corporate Democrats are so lost, and they have no core at all, that they always try to play got you with the Republicans, where like they pivot to the right of the Republicans. Like the other day, a failed coup attempt, and then you have these Democrats coming out saying, well, obviously this was mismanaged and we would have handled it better. So understand that. It's not, hey, doing a coup is bad. I'm against coups. No, it's, well, we all agree coups are good, but they mismanaged it. We wouldn't have mismanaged it. Our coup would have worked. This is the Democrats. So Biden is trying to do the mealy-mouthed, middle of the road, let's COBRA health insurance and maybe pay for testing but not treatment, and let's do subsidies to the health insurance industry. And he's going to get so lost in technocratic middle managing, in neoliberal corporatism, that Trump could easily come out and say, yeah, I want to cover all the treatment. Now, will Trump actually do it? Of course not. Never get it twisted. The Republican messaging, the Republican rhetoric never matches up when they play the populist game. They never actually do those things. It's just like, it's just branding. It's just marketing. So I wouldn't doubt Trump going out, pivoting to the left of Biden on either healthcare or a bunch of issues. And he's making it so easy. At a time when about 70 million Americans are going to lose their health coverage or have no health coverage at all, he's out there talking about funding COBRA, which is a health insurance, which is a subsidy to the health insurance industry, which is the exact kind of corrupt nonsense that we all hate. It's so pathetic. He's just not ready for this. He's not prepared for this moment. Totally disconnected from reality. He's releasing cutesy videos with Keegan-Michael Key or whatever his name is, and where they're playing cards and joking around about quarantine, as the damn economy implodes. As we have minimum 3 million people lose their jobs every single week. I mean, we got this giant crisis on our hands. Society's coming apart, and he's joking around. He's acting like he's running for president at a time and place when everything's hunky-dory. Oh, man. Abysmal. Good luck trying to defend this, people. It's indefensible.